Our next guest comes directly from the headquarters of a company you all know. Maybe you've heard of it, Facebook, where he is the vice president. He's previously served as the president of another company that you may have all heard of, that is PayPal. And I'm honored to invite to the stage Mr. David Marcus, VP Facebook. אנחנו שניים. אנחנו שניים. Hi. So thank you, David, for joining us today. Is your mic on?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's on. So many in the room have come to listen to you as a Facebook executive, but I don't think they know your personal connection to the Paris family. I know that your father, Steve, was a close friend of Paris, and that you saw him a lot growing up in Switzerland, and then later when you came to Israel. So what did that mean for you personally? Is it something that you took on when you went off to do your career?
Definitely. So, you know, as you mentioned, I was privileged enough because my father and Shimon were very, very close friends for many decades. And so growing up, I had the immense privilege and opportunity to be, you know, a fly on the wall of some of those encounters and long, late dinners where I could witness firsthand the passion, the energy, and the unwavering belief that Shimon had for peace, for the country, for innovation as a vector for good. And despite all of the setbacks that we all know he faced in his path for peace, I never saw him waver. And that was like unbelievable for me as a teenager to have the ability to witness such conviction and force. And it was a guiding principle. You know, as a matter of fact, you know, there's one quote in his book, No Room for Small Dreams, and it's in the preface. I think, Chemi, you're the one writing this, that he said that when you wake up in the morning, you have to count your accomplishments and compare them to your dreams. And if you have more dreams than accomplishments, then you're still young. And in my heart, I truly believe that by the time Shimon left us, he was, by that measure, probably still very young.
You know, that's one of my favorite quotes also. I think it's just a great way to in two sentences, give you know, a motto for life, or write a way of how to lead your life. Now, you're talking about personally, but I'm wondering, or maybe I'm assuming too much, did this affect your, I mean, this and the connection to Israel affect you professionally? Because you're always in the tech industry, you're always in entrepreneurship. You founded the startup Zong, which was later acquired by PayPal. Now you're in Facebook. Where do you see the connection?
Well, there's a big connection. Look, it's hard not to be inspired when modern Israel, as we know it today, has actually been created in one generation. And when you see that this is possible, how can you not want to take on new challenges and become an entrepreneur and try new things? It redefines what's possible in one generation when a group of like-minded people with an objective and a need to find ways to move ahead comes together. So it's been a source of inspiration for me. A source of inspiration also because I had the opportunity and the chance to be here in my teenage years and seeing all of the innovation that was happening here. And that was definitely my first connection to technology. And my deeper
here
connection,
in Israel?
Definitely. Just because, you know, you had a lot of technologists around in Israel in the early days. It was at that time not really consumer-facing types of companies, but it was definitely innovation much earlier than, you know, at that time I was living in Switzerland, you know, and, you know, we do many good things in Switzerland, you know, banking, watches, chocolates,
Chocolate.
but, you know, innovation and technologists and entrepreneurs were not, you know, that many at the time.
Let's move on to Facebook. I know you've been there for 4 years, and most of the time you focused as being leading messenger. And now you've moved on to your new endeavor in blockchain in Facebook. And I wanted to know first, if you can share with us your major lessons from leading Messenger, about connecting people. What are the lessons that you got there, and what are you taking on to your new endeavor?
Well, so first the Messenger piece. So Messenger has been a fascinating journey. Because when Mark convinced me to come to Facebook, at that time Messenger had about 150 to 200 million monthly active users, and by the time I stepped down, we had well over 1.3 billion people using the product every month, and the journey of seeing that amount of growth and the amount of responsibility that you have when you serve so many people every day has been truly fascinating. I've learned a tremendous amount during that journey. I think, you know, the nice part about this new endeavor, I tend to do this to myself a lot, where, you know, when people tend to be comfortable in jobs and things, that's the time that I end up moving to other things. Not to say that Messenger has reached its maximum potential. I think there's a lot to be done there. But I had this hunger for new things, and blockchain felt like the right and appropriate opportunity. It's an extremely complex world. It's still very early days. And, you know, if what Jack Ma said this morning, that, you know, there's a correlation between, you know, working on something that's really going to be disruptive and impactful and people thinking you're crazy, then I think I'm at the right place at the right time. Because a lot of people thinking that blockchain is going to be a big thing are crazy. And I actually think that it's going to be a foundational technology for the future. And you know, again, we have many different things that we need to figure out right now. Building a phenomenal team. Actually, part of the team is here in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, you have a presence here in Tel Aviv.
Yes.
I don't know if the crowd knows that, but that's interesting.
Yes, well, I mean, it's a small team right now, but we hope to grow it and invest more in Tel Aviv.
And this is the only team you have outside of the United States?
Yes.
Why here?
Because we have very specific talent here in Israel that I think can help turn this vision into reality. And, you know, and also it's a good excuse for me to come back more often.
You get two for the price of one. You know, throughout the day we're talking about innovation and technology, doing good and creating a better tomorrow and a better future. But at the same time, I think we can hear it throughout all the panels is also the challenges that it faces. So how can you talk about those two coins, and where do you see the great challenge?
Well, you know, we've had an interesting year, to
say the least.
To say the least. But I think that those moments are moments where you can learn a lot, and by learning, you can do things much better. I think you know, the issue with Facebook and all of its beauty at the same time is the fact that 2.5 billion people use our services and our products actively, very actively, every month.
Almost too actively.
I mean,
no, I mean,
I'd
if
say
you think about, we know that the new Apple now shows you how long you spend on the social media. It's crazy. At the end of the day, I say, don't I have a life?
I mean, the interesting thing, I think, you know, social media gets blamed for that a lot, but I think the interesting thing is you'll find that even if it wasn't for social media, then you'd spend more time passively, you know, watching videos or doing other things, playing games. It's actually, there's a lot of interesting research on that. So, you know, I think that actually spending time connecting with people might not be all that bad when you think that more and more time now is spent actually on messaging products. So both WhatsApp and Messenger are seeing an increasing amount of engagement in terms of the number of messages sent, etc. And this is time that I think is mostly well spent trying to communicate with the people you care the most about and not passively receiving things. And so, yes, so I think, you know, force for good, I think the interesting part of that is that there's so many ways that I think Facebook is, I believe, fundamentally making the world better. But it's also a challenging place to be when you serve 2.5 billion people, because your service can be used for different purposes than it was designed for. And I think what we've learned, and what I think we're starting to demonstrate with actions, not just words, is that we have put, you know, over 20,000 people now to help with content, you know, bad content dissemination, election interference, all of those things that we've seen on the platform that we didn't want on the
Could you touch a bit on
platform.
well, we all saw the headlines about the security issue that allowed attackers to access information that they shouldn't have. Could you tell us what happened and what is the path forward? How are you making sure it's not going to happen again?
Yes. So first of all, we have a bond and we have a contract with people using our products, and protecting their information is of utmost importance. And so what happened was deeply upsetting to Mark, to myself, to everyone else at Facebook, and certainly something that we've learned a great deal from. The minute we learned about it, we communicated very openly and transparently. We communicated to every person that was affected. We remediated the situation very quickly. I can't really elaborate on, actually what happened, who were the actors that accessed it, because we have an active investigation and are cooperating with FBI, and so that limits what I can say. But, this is very serious, and this should not happen. And I think, again, we're going to learn a lot from this issue, and we're going to do whatever it takes to prevent this from happening again.
So finally, I wanted to ask you two questions that we try and ask the panelists throughout the day. First of all is, what is the next big thing that's coming out? It's going to change our life. Is it something to do with your current job?
Well, I certainly hope so. I hope so. I think blockchain might change a lot of things. There's a seminal trend, I believe, where people want to be in control of their data, in control of how they use services, and not have large central companies basically control too much. And I think blockchain can potentially provide some answers to that. But again, it's very early days, and the advancement of the technology is not where it needs to be yet. So we need to work on that and try to advance it a lot. I think that also, generally speaking, AI is in such an interesting place right now where you can start seeing actionable applications of AI in your day-to-day life. It's not like this theoretical thing anymore. So notably, for instance, in Messenger now we have translation, so you can actually chat with someone that doesn't speak your language and you have automatic translation. A non-Facebook thing, I use Gmail a lot, and now it auto-completes your emails to the point where you can project that maybe in 10 years it'll respond to most of your emails on your behalf better than you can. And those are real applications. And we're talking about science and the progress to live better and longer lives. Now, because of AI, any general doctor that has no training can use an app on a smartphone and detect malignant, cells on your skin, as well as, the best dermatologist in the world, thanks to AI and computer vision. So I think, AI is definitely going to bring a lot of advancement for mankind.
And finally, I wanted to ask your tip to the next entrepreneur who wants to be sitting one day here on the stage. You started with something that you took from Paris, from Shimon Paris, and that is dream big. What else?
Well, I think it's one thing to dream big, but you have to have the courage to pursue your dreams. So I think, that's the most important thing. There are lots of dreamers who just contemplate dreams but don't go after them. So dream, but also chase your dreams and try to make them a reality.
And sometimes just feel crazy, right?
Yes, also, always.
David Marcus, thank you so much for taking the time and coming here. It was a pleasure.